You're standing there after the conversation ends. Nothing dramatic happened, nothing you could point to. But something about the way she looked at you for half a second too long, laughed a little harder than the joke deserved, and found one more tiny reason to keep talking is now playing in your head on loop. And you're thinking, wait, was that flirting or am I reading into it? Why did that feel different? Did she mean something by that? Or am I just hoping she did? Here's the truth most people miss. Women usually don't flirt by making it obvious. They flirt by making it feel possible. Not because they're playing games, not because they're confused, not because they want attention, but because attraction, for a lot of women, moves through safety first and expression second. So, if you've ever missed the signs, second-guessed the moment, or realized way too late that she was actually interested, you are not clueless, man. You're just looking for fireworks when the real signal is usually much quieter than that. By the end of this video, you'll understand the subtle ways women flirt, what's actually happening beneath the surface when they do, and how to spot the difference between politeness and real interest. Let's get into it. Most people think flirting is confidence on display. Big smiles, bold lines, clear signals, something impossible to miss. Way number 1, prolonged eye contact. But the real truth is, a lot of flirting is nervous system communication before it ever becomes verbal communication. A woman's mind might still be deciding what she thinks about you, while her body and attention are already turning toward you. That matters more than most people realize because your nervous system reads interest long before your logic can explain it. Most men are taught to look for obvious pursuit, but a lot of women don't flirt by escalating pressure. They flirt by lowering distance. That's the part nobody explains. When a woman feels curious, drawn in, or emotionally safe around someone, she often won't lead with full-blown pursuit. She'll lead with invitations, small openings, tiny extensions of presence. And if you don't understand that, you'll miss the moment entirely. So, this isn't really about memorizing signs. It's about learning to read patterns. Because when a woman likes you, she often won't shout it. She'll reveal it in the way she lingers, the way she remembers, the way she makes space for something more without forcing it. And once you see that, you stop guessing so much. You start noticing what's real. Clears throat. 1, she finds small reasons to keep the interaction going. This one is quiet, but it means a lot. Most people in relationships or on the edge of one assume interest looks like a dramatic move forward. But most women flirt by creating one more moment, one more question, one more text, one more reason not to let the interaction end cleanly. The deeper truth is that when she feels drawn to you, she usually doesn't want to risk overexposure too fast. So instead of making a huge move, she creates continuity. Her nervous system is basically saying, I'm not ready to go Allen yet, but I do want more of you. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. Okay, nice talking to you. Bye. The connecting version sounds like this. Wait, before you go, what was the name of that place you mentioned? Or later, you said you hate olives. That's still bothering me, honestly. That's not random. That's an opening. And when you notice that, you stop treating her interest like something that has to arrive loudly, and you start seeing the real signal hiding in plain sight. 2, she remembers weirdly specific details. Here's the part no one talks about. Attention is way number 2, smiling more around you. One of the clearest forms of flirtation. Most couples and most people dating think attraction is about chemistry in the moment. But one of the biggest signs of real interest is what she carries away after the moment is over. If she remembers the tiny thing you said in passing 3 days ago, that is rarely accidental. Because when someone matters to you, your mind tags them differently. You become emotionally relevant. A woman who's interested often stores details not because she's trying to impress you, but because some part of her is already organizing you as someone important. Her inner world is quietly saying that mattered because he mattered. So the surface level version is you like coffee, right? But the flirtatious version is you said you only like coffee if it tastes more like dessert than coffee, which honestly feels emotionally revealing. See the difference. One is remembering facts. The other is holding on to your texture. And that kind of attention makes you feel felt. like the space between you isn't empty anymore. It's becoming personal. 3. Her body opens before her words do. This is where it gets really interesting because the body usually tells the truth first. Most people look only at words, but most women flirt in ways that are embodied before they are verbal. She faces you more directly. She leans in. She fixes her hair once she realizes you're looking. Her tone softens. Her eyes stay a second longer than they need to. Not always. Not in every case. Not as a trick, but as a nervous system response to attraction. When someone feels safe and intrigued, the body tends to orient toward connection, and when she doesn't, it tends to conserve itself. That's why attraction can feel like warmth entering a room before anything official has happened. Her brain may still be composed, but her body is quietly registering. I want to stay here a little longer. So, the closed version looks like this. She answers you politely while scanning the room, angling away, giving short replies. The open version looks like this. She turns fully towards you, smiles with her eyes, lightly touches your arm when she laughs and says, "No, wait, tell me the way number 3, playful teasing rest." That's not proof of love, but it is a real shift in presence. And when you learn to notice it, you stop overvaluing words and start understanding what attraction feels like beneath the surface. 4. She teases you where she feels safe. Honestly, this one gets missed all the time because people confuse teasing with disinterest. Most people think if a woman likes you, she'll be extra nice, extra agreeable, extra careful. But a lot of women flirt by playfully challenging you, not harshly, not coldly, just enough to create spark. Why? Because teasing is often a test of emotional safety. She's checking whether you can hold tension without collapsing, getting defensive, or turning weird. In other words, she's not just asking, "Are you attractive?" She's asking, "Are you safe to play with?" So the flat version is, you say, "I'm always on time." She says, "Cool." The flirtatious version is you say, "I'm always on time." She smirks and goes, "That sounds exactly like something a late person would say." And in her head, something is often happening like, "Can you meet me here? Can you play back? Can this feel light with you?" That kind of teasing breaks walls without forcing vulnerability too soon. It turns the interaction from polite into alive. 5. Clears throat. She gives you tiny windows into her real self. And here's what changes everything. Flirting is not always about being more performative. Sometimes it's about becoming more real. Most couples think closeness comes after certainty, but the real truth is emotional intimacy often starts when someone offers you a small, unguarded piece of themselves and watches what you do with it. When a woman likes you, she may start letting you see things that are slightly more honest, slightly more personal, slightly less curated. Not her whole life story, not a dramatic confession, not instant vulnerability, but something real. She might say, "I act confident, but I actually overthink everything after I leave." Or, "I pretend I'm chill, but I'm really not that chill." And what's moving through her is, "If I let you see a little more of me, will you handle it gently?" So the distant version is, yeah, works way number 4. Finding reasons to text, "You been fine." The connecting version is, "Work's been fine, but honestly, I've been kind of burnt out and pretending I'm not." That is a bid, a real one. And when you respond to that with presence instead of performance, the space between you starts feeling less like a game and more like somewhere both of you can actually land. 6, she enters your world and mirrors your energy. This isn't a communication hack. This is what genuine interest naturally does. Most people in relationships stay locked inside their own frame, their own stories, their own preferences. But when a woman is flirting, she often starts stepping into your world. She asks about the thing you care about. She mirrors your humor. She picks up your rhythm. She references something you love just to see your face light up. That's not her losing herself. It's her turning toward you. Attachment works like this. When we feel drawn to someone, we start building bridges into their inner world. Her nervous system is saying, "I want to understand what animates you. I want to meet you there." That's why mirroring feels so intimate. It's not imitation, it's emotional attunement. So, the neutral version is you mention your favorite team, your music, your weird hobby. She nods and moves on. The flirtatious version is a day later she says, "I listened to that band you mentioned. Not bad. You may be slightly less suspicious than I thought." That lands because it feels intentional, and that's the shift that makes you feel like you're not just being looked at, you're being met. 7, she gives you a second invitation. And this is the one most people never figure out. A woman who likes you will often reopen the door after a moment could have died. Most people miss flirting because they focus only on the first signal, but subtle attraction often shows up in the follow-up. If the conversation got interrupted, if the timing was off, if you were a little slow on the uptake, she may circle back one more time. Why? Because interest wants another chance, but usually without total exposure. So instead of saying, "I'm into you," she creates another opening, another reply, another reason for connection to continue. Her way. 5. Acting slightly nervous inner voice is often something like, "Okay, I gave this a chance once, I'm giving it one more." So the closed version is the moment passes, nothing else happens. The flirtatious version is later she sends you, "Never answered my very important question from earlier." Or she says, "So, are you always this hard to read, or is today special?" Bro, that second invitation matters a lot. Because when someone makes it easier for the connection to keep breathing, they're showing you they don't want it to end yet. And that's often the clearest sign of all. So if you've been waiting for women to flirt in ways that are impossible to miss, here's what you need to understand. Real attraction is often subtle because real attraction is often careful. It doesn't always arrive as bold pursuit. Sometimes it arrives as presence, as curiosity, as repeated turning toward. This isn't about becoming better at decoding games. It's about becoming more emotionally aware. When you really internalize this, you stop chasing certainty in loud, obvious signals, and you start recognizing the quiet patterns that actually create connection. You become someone who notices attention, who respects nuance, who understands that safety and attraction are not separate things. They are deeply connected. These aren't just tips for spotting interest. They're part of becoming more present, more grounded, and more emotionally available in how you relate to people. Because the truth is simple. The people who catch real connection are usually the ones who know how to notice what's softly being offered before it disappears. And real flirting usually doesn't begin when someone makes it obvious. It begins when someone quietly makes room for you to step closer.